Hi everyone! Before we dive into this week's episode, I just wanted to let you know that we're taking a little break until the new year. We'll be back in January with even more amazing guests and incredible Northeast stories as usual to finish season 3. But for now, this is our final episode of 2025. But what a brilliant one to end the year on. This week we're chatting with Nicola Farndell, a woman's health and menopause coach who has been through one hell of a journey to get where she is today. Nicola opens up about everything from years of panic attacks and hiding her anxiety at work to being made redundant after 20 years at Nike and realising it was her chance to completely change her life. She talks about rebuilding her confidence, healing her relationship with herself, starting a business from scratch, and about becoming passionate about women's health, midlife, and menopause after seeing how profoundly it affects our lives. We cover so much in this episode. We touch on confidence, identity, the messy middle of midlife, and why women are often just soldiering on instead of actually getting support, which is something that I can really resonate with. Nicola's honesty, warmth, and self awareness is just incredible, and I know so many of you are going to relate to this chat. So, as usual, grab yourself a cuppa, get comfy, or maybe some mulled wine this time of year. But enjoy this week's episode with the brilliant Nicola Farndell. You're listening to Geordie Pride, Voices from the Northeast. I'm Hayley, and alongside my cousin Angela, we're thrilled to bring you the stories that share the heart and soul of the Northeast of England. Each episode, we'll dive into the lives of extraordinary Geordies and those who call the Northeast home, exploring their journeys and celebrating their achievements. From the time to the teas, from the arts to the sports fields, we're here to share the tales of passion, resilience, and of course, Geordie Pride. So whether you're from Whitley Bay or Washington, Gateshead or Gisborough, or you're just fascinated by the spirit of the Northeast, join us as we natter with the best the Northeast has to offer. Hi Nicola, welcome to the show.
Hi Hayley, hi Angela, it's lovely to be here.
Nice to have you. Do you want to get started by just telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from in the Northeast and what you do?
Yes, well, when people say where are you from, I'm always toyed between do I say where I live or do I say where I'm from? Because there's a reason why that matters. I'm wearing red. I'm from Sunderland originally, but I've lived on the dark side, shall I say, for probably about 21 years. So right now I live in Bertley, which I think's probably more black and white, isn't it, than red and white? So yeah, I'm northeast, not born. I was born in Portsmouth, but I moved here when I was about 18 months. So I've been pretty much bred up in the northeast. I specialise in women's health and menopause. I help women to unwrap what healthy living really means, because so many of us think that health is about the number on the scales. We think it's about the way that we look in the mirror, and we're actually missing what health is really about, how it can protect us, how it can empower us, why it's so important as women. So I do all of that incredible stuff that I'm really passionate about with women, working with them individually or with corporate organisations and their teams. Before that, I worked at Nike, who were based in Sunderland, for 20 years. And then I was made redundant in the pandemic. And that was a pivotal moment in my life, making some big, big changes, not just in my career, but other things that I'm happy to talk about as well.
What were you doing in Nike? Was it something associated with the health side of it, or was it completely like how did you get into the menopause and women's health side of it?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and one I do love talking about because it's such a part of my story. When I was 19, I started to experience panic attacks, and the panic attacks were very extreme, like to the point that I really believed I was going to die. And I was at university at Sunderland Uni, and that was the start of my life changing in so many ways. I wouldn't say I was like particularly confident. I was pretty confident up to that point. I used to do drama and act, and I was fine with public speaking, but I became a shell of myself from being 19. And again, we can dive into that more, but I went on this whole journey of believing that there was something inherently wrong with me, that I was flawed, that I was a freak, that I was abnormal, and I looked for a fix to fix me because I thought, well, I'm having these things that mean there's something wrong in my brain because that's how it felt. There's something wrong. If I can find the fix for that, then I'm going to be cured and I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be able to live normally. I'm going to be confident, happy. So I didn't realize that was the start of me going on my own wellness journey, which saw me from 1995, when we didn't talk about wellness or even mental health, seek out all sorts of things that included going to spiritualist church, having hypnotherapy, Reiki. It wasn't even called Reiki then, but trying all of these things that were equipping me to become really knowledgeable in taking care of yourself. Alongside that, I started to try and build a career that ended up with me working at Nike from 2001. And I loved the brand. I really loved the way Nike was as a company and the people, but I just didn't fit in that particular way and culture of work, and the pressure on me to show up. I felt like everyone at Nike was extrovert, confident, just, able to do everything that I thought I couldn't do. So although I was there 20 years and I established myself in a pretty, good stand with what I was capable of and the different jobs I had, I just never felt like I fit. And I also continue to struggle with anxiety, panic. That was diagnosed as generalized anxiety and panic disorder probably about 17 years after I started. So it took a long time to get a diagnosis. And I hid it from everybody that I worked with. I was so ashamed, so embarrassed, just wanted to basically survive. And, this is kind of two lanes we've got here. So I'm trying to survive and learning what to do and just looking into these different tools and modalities to try and not die, basically. And then at the same time turning up to work, getting my salary, trying to earn more money so I could have a better life and take care of my daughter. And the overwhelming stress that I felt was just unreal. And in the pandemic, when we shifted to full home working, I realised that I couldn't continue life as it was before the pandemic, even way at the start when we didn't know we were going to be at home for more than 2 weeks. I just had this massive realisation that the stress I was under and how I felt was being multiplied massively by turning up to work every day. I did a lot of travelling. I was at events surrounded by people. It was just so much. And I didn't know what the answer was. The longer I worked at home, the more worried I got about returning to like normal life. And then redundancy came about, and the organisation went through a massive restructure. Over 50% of the UK staff were impacted and made redundant in this new reorg. And I kind of saw that almost like a get out of jail free card, because it gave me the opportunity to not have to go back to that. But I didn't know what else to do because I was the main earner. I wasn't in a very happy marriage. I was 45. I'd always worked for big brands. I was in the Northeast. It was the pandemic. I was severely unconfident, still having panic attacks, even presenting at home on a screen. So I just kind of felt a bit lost. But at the same time, I also had this little sparkle that made me think this was meant to happen. And I'd never been that person. I was always the cup half empty person. And there was just something there, this little niggling light of possibility that made me think maybe there's something else. Maybe this is meant to be. Maybe this is your opportunity to actually do something that you enjoy, that isn't about being in survival mode all of the time. And so it was a big shift. I didn't have a great ambition to be a business owner. I'd never thought about having my own business at all. To me, I was just surviving, like get the paycheck, keep going, last as long as you can. And the work I did at Nike was different, but similar. I worked for the wholesale part of Nike. So I looked after retailers that sell Nike product like a JD Sports, a Sports Direct, Next, John Lewis, those kinds of people, ASOS. And I'd done different roles across operations, supply chain, and then account management. But what I loved about Nike was some of what I'd worked on in the final few years I was there, helping women to be active regardless of the way they looked and whether they described themselves as an athlete, and looking at why girls were dropping out of sport so young and how we kept girls in sport. And I didn't know what that looked like and how to make money from it, but I thought, maybe I can help girls and women to move their bodies. I think I'm going to do my personal training qualification, because I'd been on this bit of a journey shifting my relationship with exercise and what I ate. And then I looked at what I loved about Nike, which was leading people, mentoring people, changing things. I was really good at getting shit done, basically. Like if there was an account that was a mess, it was like, let's give it to Nicola. She'll go in there. She's, good at sorting the crap out. Let's get her on the case. And so I wanted to keep doing that kind of stuff. And it just took some conversations to evolve into not the business I've got now, but just an idea around somehow working with women and girls to get them, moving more, to know why movement was a big part of being healthy and well, and why being healthy and well mattered. And so I just had all of these little bubbles. Like if you picture a big brain dump, it was like a bubble of this, a bubble of that. But then, because I was so unconfident and a bit of a mess, the first thing I did, as I was about to leave Nike a few days before, was pay to work with two fabulous women who I know you've had on your podcast, Donna and Cheryl from Now Is Your Time. Came across them with two friends that I knew, didn't have a clue what they did, but just went on a online session with them and thought, oh my God, I need this. If I'm going to have to get a job, I need to get confident, and these seem like they know what they're doing. Paid to work with them. And that was the beginning of so much shifting. And that was kind of what then started building my confidence, making me reflect on my journey, realizing where I was with my health, what I'd been through, how that could become a story to inspire others, and how I had all this expertise to actually build a business on. So I know it's a bit of a long story, but it's really twofold, with being made redundant and some of what I loved about Nike, and then my own life experience.
Do you not think it's like the best kept ideas is the ones that you kind of go through and you come out the other end and you kind of go on a journey yourself, don't you? I know that I'm probably speaking for Hayley as well. Both Hayley and I are quite similar in the fact that we did that, coming out of like work that we didn't like and going into something that we do like. And obviously you're, testament to that as well. But it is a long journey and you do get there. Lots of bumps along the way, but you managed, and I think it's incredible what you've done. Tell us a little bit more about how you've gone from PT to doing like exercise into the menopause side of things.
Yeah, so I don't work as a PT. I got my qualification, and that was, like I say, a bit in part because I'd been on my own health transformation journey leading up to 2021 when this all started, and when I left Nike, which I was on because of those beliefs I had that many women have about weight being your worth. What I weigh on the scales is my worth, and I need to be thinner. I need to look thinner because that's what a happy, confident, successful woman should look like. And so it started out as that, but then it started to shift, and I'd never experienced that. And I certainly didn't start the program that I started with that as the goal. The goal was just to lose weight, but without really kind of getting into it at the time. I knew that I'd shifted a lot in my relationship with food. I was a very disordered eater. I had an eating disorder when I was a teenager, right through my 20s, never diagnosed, but I was a binge eater and used to purge and make myself sick and so on. And things really shifted. And so I just saw this opportunity, having got a nice redundancy package, to be honest, to invest in and do this program with Donna and Cheryl, and at the same time go, actually, I might do a PT program and just learn more about movement and the body and how it all works, because strength training in particular had been a big piece of this journey I'd started and was now about to accelerate even more. And so when I started, like I say, putting these little bubbles together of, oh, maybe I could help women, maybe I could do something around movement, maybe I could coach, maybe I could make money from it, I found the online world of entrepreneurship, and I was like, bloody hell, where did this come from? Because as far as I was concerned, I worked in real business. I was at Nike, one of the best companies in the world. This was what business was, going down to London and having these big conferences. I didn't know anyone was sitting at home making money online as an entrepreneur. I didn't even really know what an entrepreneur was, apart from Richard Branson, I think. And so I stumbled across this online world because of something Donna and Cheryl had shared. And I was like, oh, maybe actually I'm an expert in habits and how to change your life. And it was through that self awareness, like digging into my story. Why had I finally started shifting my relationship with food and with my body and building some confidence, because I was in a slightly better place in 2021 than what I had been for many, many years. I still, like I say, was struggling with anxiety and panic and lack of confidence, but I had got stronger. And I just started to, because of what I came across online, looking at this story that I'd actually been going on since 1995, and realised that I was an expert. And so the business then was formed a few months after I was made redundant, with this idea of coaching women around taking care of themselves, still with the lens of movement, as and I call it movement rather than exercise, being like the primary thing. And then it was from there, as I started to buy into entrepreneur programs and other courses and all the free stuff we all jump into online all of the time when we've got a business, to learn more and do it better. And it just grew from there. And I had a big realization, I think 18 months or so after I started the business, because it was always about women's health. My mission and vision have never changed. The mission is helping women to build sustainable habits so that they can live long and strong. And the vision is doing that to normalise healthy living for our girls, because of the risk that our children overall, but girls in particular, are facing with the health for the future generations. And I think women have got the power to influence that as role models if they build those healthy habits. So that's never changed. But after a while, I started to realise that actually the reason why our health as women matters so much is because we have these XX chromosomes. We're born female, and we have hormones that work differently to males. And that means we're going to go through menopause. And menopause is the point in our lives where our health, for many women, becomes something on their agenda for the first time because of what's shifting in menopause. So it just kind of grew organically as I grew my knowledge and experience and started working with people, and realized again like what had actually happened to me. And my mum is a big part of why I do what I do, because she had many health challenges. Again, I'm open to talking about that, but sadly I lost her in 2019. She passed away quite suddenly because of these health struggles she'd been experiencing for some time. And all of that together was just like, yeah, this is why I need to focus on this and hone in more specifically on menopause. And that part of it was also strategic, in that working with organisations, menopause is something that should be on their agenda, and we're starting to get more support about. Obviously the government are now bringing in a menopause action plan to protect employees. It's still a little bit of time away, but it should be passed into law anytime now for implementation in 2027. So yeah, it just kind of grew from my journey as an entrepreneur and what made sense.
It sounds amazing. Like I suppose the journey that you've been on sounds. I think it's always like exactly what Angela said, is that the best ideas kind of come from your own personal journeys, and you don't necessarily understand that that's happening at the time when you're going through it, but you pull all of those things together and then you can create something pretty amazing at the end of it. And I know I've not met anyone yet that hasn't been inspired by Donna and Cheryl. Like everyone I speak to that knows them is just like, oh my God, they just make me want to do stuff. Like I don't want to sit still and not do anything. Like they make me want to do things. Like how is you've mentioned a few times that lack of confidence and lack of self-esteem and stuff like that. Is that like, how has that journey evolved since owning your own business? Because I know that's something I really struggle with. Like I've never had it's funny because everyone always says I'm probably like one of the most confident people that they know. I am not at all. I do not feel confident. I will like it's not something I personally feel, but people tell me that I seem to be. But how has that evolved since you've owned your own business? Because I think it's a make or break thing, I think, isn't it, when you own your own
Mm.
business, because you've got no one else to rely on. You've kind of got yourself to push yourself forward and to put yourself in those situations, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, my life has changed massively. I'm definitely not 100, percent on confidence. I still get so nervous ahead of presenting, of speaking, but compared to where I used to be, it's like phenomenal. I would say I'm probably like an 85% say confident where I was like 10 maybe. I could be confident in some situations, but as an example, in the past, when it was my dad's 70th, I think that was 2019, we had a surprise party for him, and I'm the oldest, and my brothers said, oh, when we were there, like, oh, maybe you should say something. I was like, oh my God, no. Even around family, the thought of speaking was petrifying beyond belief. Like, I used to think I would never be able to get married because I would never be able to speak the vows, even just the person I was marrying, because I was so anxious and nervous. So my confidence has just grown massively. I definitely have dips in confidence. So I've tried things like us all in business that have failed, and that inner critic, mine's called Dottie, she comes in, you're not good enough, it's you're the reason people are not buying, it's people don't like you, it's about this, it's about that, whatever it might be, other things happen in life, and that's just natural. But what I've done a lot of work on is self-worth and confidence. And your self-worth is your value, which is like the foundations of a house. They ain't gonna move. It's there. It doesn't matter whether you cut your words up in a podcast interview or you get nervous and your voice shakes at the start of a presentation. Like, that's a shift in your confidence because of the situation and what's going on, and you're human, what's happening physiologically in your body. But your self-worth is what it is. Like, that doesn't change because of the way you look or doing something wrong, saying the wrong words in an interview. So it's a journey. And like what I say about health, there is no finish line. It's not something you're ever going to get to and go, tick, job done, I'm confident. Oh, forget about that. Now I can just relax. Like, it's always going to be something you're growing and developing. But for me, I think my confidence is just a level I never even dreamed of. The way I used to be, all I ever wanted was to be able to know I would have a meeting and that I wouldn't think about it beforehand. And I'd walk into a meeting room, whether there was 3 people or 30 people or 100 people, and I wouldn't be constantly thinking about dying and having those sensations of panic arising in a meeting. I never dreamt of standing up in front of a room presenting. That wasn't for me. Like, I just wanted to stay alive, basically, without that intense fear and physical response I was going through, because I knew that wasn't healthy to have those feelings and changes happening so frequently. Like, I was frightened I was actually going to give myself a heart attack, the extremity of the panic I'd have. So to get where I am now, like, I've got my own podcast, I've spoke on stages, in rooms, putting my face out. Like, I barely ever even took a selfie and posted. I hated the way I looked. I'd grown up from being young thinking that I was abnormal the way that I looked. So yeah, it's just been an incredible journey, and a journey that meant I was finally confident enough to end an unhappy marriage and move away from that, even though it was very stressful, very disruptive for my daughter, and in lots of ways I'd only just started the business. So, that wouldn't have, I tried to do that many times before, but I was just never confident enough. So confidence isn't just about the speaking up, it's the confidence to believe that this is what I want, and I'm going to change this even if it's difficult, or I'm going to speak up about this thing that I'm not comfortable with in my family, or whatever else it might be. So yeah, it's just still like a journey, and definitely my menopause has impacted it a bit. I really shifted into my perimenopause about 2.5 years ago. Like, things shifted again. I was in a really good place initially after setting the business up and all of those different changes and things. And I've had some dips in that, you know, those mind monkeys coming in and a bit of anxiety just out of the blue again. So yeah, you just pick the tools back up though, because once you've got them, they're in your toolkit and you can go back to those.
Definitely. I think it's one of those things that, I mean, it's a bit like that imposter syndrome, isn't it? Where you think that, you know, you can't be moved. It's one of them things. But I've known a lot of women through lots of jobs I've had. They've been the strongest sort of driving force in like any sort of business. And then you slowly see the menopause creeping in, the perimenopause, the hormonal changes, your body changes, your looks change, your hair falls out, your skin changes, you feel shit basically, and then your confidence just dives along with it, really. So I wish you got like kind of a book where you said, right, this is going to happen at this set of time, X, Y, and Z is going to happen, you're going to feel X, Y, and Z, but everyone's completely different. And it's about putting good measures in place and recognizing that, and just saying, right, recognizing it's a perimenopause or it's a menopause, and getting some help for it, really, to be fair. And likewise, obviously, with you, with getting help with your confidence and your panic attacks and stuff like that. And obviously you come through the other end, and there's probably still work in progress there, I'm guessing, Nicola, because we're never fully kind of cured. It's just one of those things that you've got to kind of like adapt to and live with, you know, with signs and symptoms of your menopause. And it's busy kicking my arse at the minute.
Yeah.
Like many 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
But it's not nice, but you just soldier on through.
Well, but that's the thing. It's not about soldiering on through. That's my premise and what I'm advocating on this. I use an image of a woman putting some flames out with a fire extinguisher, and I talk about firefighting versus the other image, which is a female pilot in a plane, hands on the controls, being the CEO, the pilot of your life, because we have been brought up, our generation, to have that belief, well, women just soldier on, like, shoulders back, you're a woman, tough it out, stop moaning or don't moan at all, you know, that kind of thing. But that's damaging. And I think, yeah, we have to keep moving through it. There's no alternative to you know, having to navigate it and keep getting up every day, showing up, going to work, whatever it is you do. But I think that mindset of soldiering on is what I'm trying to help women shift away from, and to be more self-aware, more self-compassionate, and to really understand like what it is that's going to mean. You maybe shift from that soldiering on, really firefighting symptoms and so on, to at least feeling like you're in control, even though you still possibly have symptoms, and some of those symptoms are tough and can be ones that really shift the way you feel about yourself. But I think it's through your health and those habits that you have in your toolkit that are going to make that change. You know, they're going to build resilience, all of the practical health things as well that we need to be more aware of and most of us don't know about.
So what would be, so I suppose I'm coming at it from a slightly different angle. So I've got a lot of health issues, a lot of chronic health problems, and I'm very much, when you describe those two people, I'm definitely the one putting out the fires. I do not feel kind of in control of my health, in control of my body, in control of my mind, especially at the moment. Like, it just, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's a new thing. I've had chronic health issues now for coming up 6 years. So it's something that I have lived with for a few years. But like, how do you take someone who's like me, who feels that their life is being controlled by it, to then shift the narrative to make them feel like they're in control of it? Like, how would you start doing that with somebody, and how do you change your mindset of something that is like quite, well, I suppose I'm stubborn. I just can't imagine me getting to that point, and I'm sure I could. It's just like, how do you even approach that?
So I'm not going to change somebody's mind they're going
Yeah.
to change it themselves. I don't know if you like Mel Robbins. Do you
Yes.
ever, yeah, Mel Robbins, the whole let them
Yes.
theory, like we
Amazing.
can't ever change anybody. You know, I'm sure we've all got that family member that we wish didn't mourn as much or whatever it might be. It doesn't matter how many times we've told them, you know, they still behave that way. But what I do is work with people to help them through coaching to get underneath what's going on and to help them create that shift. And that happens in coaching sessions through me asking a lot of questions. I'm sure you're both very familiar with this, but you know, starting with what it is they want for themselves. So I've built my own framework, which is based on both coaching techniques and my experience. Like, what was it that worked for me? What was it that shifted me from how I was for 26 years, really stuck in that firefighting mode with anxiety and panic, to where I got to, you know, what was the change? So my framework takes people from a starting place of visioning what they want for themselves. So let's say in your example, Hayley, you say this vision for yourself, and we're not talking about whether you believe it or not at the minute. It's just like, if you could dream, if you could have any possibility in your life for the future, what would that look like? And although it might sound morbid to some, it is very powerful. But I take people to the very end of their lives and get them to think about when they're right at the end. Let's say they're having a very slow, comfortable, calm build up to their end of life, to death, lying on the deathbed, and they've got that opportunity to reflect. What would it be in their life that would make them feel like, yeah, this was a life worth living? Like, I'm proud that I had this life and I did it that way. And we work like kind of backwards from that very end of life vision to, okay, so what does that mean, you know, as a way of life? So you might say, I want to be living where I'm not worrying about my health. Yes, I've got these ongoing chronic health conditions, but they're very managed. They're not disrupting my life. I feel like I'm in control. So that control looks like not worrying about it, not feeling like I'm stuck in a spin cycle of like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. And this is the kind of thing we'd work through. So really building this very vivid vision of what you would like life to be like, and then looking at what life is like now. So what's the gap? What's the difference between life now, which is my business, Life Now Coaching, and your future version of you? What's the miss between that reality actually looking like your vision? And then we start to work through coaching. So lots of questions, getting underneath with your beliefs. So like, what is it? You said something in the way you described it, like, I'm just like, this is just how it is, sort of thing. You know, it might be like you just have that belief, the stubbornness of, but it is just what it is, Nicola. I've got this and I've got this, and that's just the way it is. And so I'm going to ask questions and help you to navigate that, to take you to a place of, because this is all about you and what you want and how you want to feel in your life, to, okay, so to be that version of Hayley, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to shift, and then supporting you with what those habits might look like. So I bring the practical educational stuff around health and well-being and what I know and have qualified in women's health as a specialty, with the coaching bits to then help you, guide you with building those new habits. Because we've all set out, whether it's the start of a new year or the start of a month or even a new week and a Monday, if I'm going on a diet, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get fit, whatever it might be, but it doesn't happen because we set ourselves up. I liken it to the mountain analogy. To climb the mountain in literally a day, it's like, tomorrow I'm going to get fit, and then we expect it to just happen like that. You know, it's like we're going to climb Mount Everest without any planning, any training, any preparation, no backpack or no guide. We're just there at the bottom of the mountain going, yep, take us to the top of the mountain, I'm going to get there straight away. And of course we don't, we fail. So we throw the towel in very quickly, because we're humans, our brain's wired to program so that the way we're living now and what we're doing is executed automatically as much as possible, day after day after day. So we need to change that programming, and we need to shift those neural pathways we've got in our brain to be the ones that give us different results. And that has to happen through a process. Nobody can just decide overnight, I'm going to stop moaning about my health, or I'm going to be confident tomorrow, I'm going to lose a stone, and then I'm just going to have all my problems wiped away, and I'm going to be happy and have loads of friends and a great job and loads of money and healthy and strong and so on. Like, it just doesn't happen like that. We have to put the effort in, and
I wish
that's,
it
you know,
did.
working together. That's the power of a coach, really, is. And I think the biggest thing, because I love being coached as well, is giving yourself a pause and space to just get out what's up there already, because most of us can never get that out because we're too busy. It's whirling around, it's in there, it's already there, but it's not coming out. And being given the space and opportunity to create a change.
I think that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because it's like when you talked about that writing your letter to yourself when you're older. I've actually done that exercise before. It was years ago. I went to a training course in corporate and I'd done it. And I remember writing about it and I got really emotional when I was writing it.
Mm.
And that was one of the triggers for me ending up like leaving corporate because I was like, do you know what? Like, this isn't what I want. I need to do
Yeah.
something different. So that is such a powerful exercise to do because it makes you question the path that you're on now, and it makes you like say, am I doing the right things? Is this what I've got at the minute? If I continue this, is this what I want? And it's an exercise that is powerful, and it's also worked for
Mhm.
me. So then I'm sitting here asking myself, thinking, well, why am I not doing that again? But it's exactly what you just said there. It's like you get caught up in life and we're all so busy, and then we just don't take the time to stop and ask ourselves, is this right? Like, what do I need to be doing differently? What can I be doing better? Because we just get caught up in living the day to day and just accepting that's how things are. And it's quite sad in a way that because like I know that like I've done that. I've
Mhm.
made changes in the past by stopping and listening and getting advice from other people and making like journaling and doing all that stuff. But it's just making the conscious choice to know that that's what you've got to do. And I think that's the hardest part sometimes is I think we all know how to get there. It's like just stopping and making time and like enlisting help from people like you to just commit themselves to making a change, because if we leave it to ourselves, we're not going to bloody do it, are we? Let's be honest.
I know, and just to, like, you know, not put yourselves down too much. This is for everyone. We're human, and because we're human, our brain wants status quo. It doesn't want change, and that's
Mm,
to protect us. So, you know, we've got the fact that we're human, and our biology means it's preventing us from changing. You know, unless we're maybe the personality type that's very, very driven. And it's said there's only about 5% of people who are very conscious of the role of their subconscious versus their conscious mind and live in that mode, and you know, are able to really live connected with that, because we're not brought up, we're not taught this stuff at school. So, you know, we don't know this unless we've fallen into perhaps something at work, which many of us have had that kind of training or coaching opportunity at work, but many of us haven't, and many of us are just not interested in it. And what I say, and this is, you know, what I use and try to connect with women on, is we can juggle those balls just about. We can keep them all up in the air: work, kids, money stresses, you know, our own well-being, way of feeling, tiredness, energy, fitness, whatever it is. We can just about keep them juggling in the air. But when our hormones start to shift as we enter perimenopause, we can't keep juggling those balls. The act we've been able to perform isn't possible anymore, because the hormones are shifting things in whatever way that might be for you: physical, mental, emotional, all of that, often tapping into your self-worth and your confidence. So that's when so many women fall apart. And I mean, we see the highest rates of divorce in women 45 to 55, the highest rates of divorce initiated by women in that age range as well, highest rates of suicide, sadly, in that age range, highest rates of diagnosis of chronic diseases and autoimmune diseases. Like, women are changing in so many ways. And that's why that analogy of the firefighter and pilot, if you like, CEO, I call it, is so powerful, because for many women that can't keep fighting, like they really are like fighting against everything, and life becomes a battle. And you hear women who are just like, I just don't feel like me anymore. I can't live like this. It's so hard. And that's obviously at the extreme end. And you've got those who are struggling, who stop going for promotion, actually leave work altogether, disengage from friendships, being social, even with their partner. All kinds of things happen. And you have a lot of those women realizing life's not how they want it to be, but often not doing anything about it, because they just think, well, I'm getting old now, menopause, old, past it, look at my brain, it's not working properly. But then you have other women, and I want more of these women who go, nah, this was me, 45 years of my life. Well, from 19, so I don't think I wasted all of my childhood, but I did start wasting many years dieting from about age 12. Like, something has to change, or my life is going to get to the end where I'm probably some withering old woman who hates her life, thinks she's had a shit life. Like, I don't want that to be the end, and I've got an opportunity to try and change that. And I think that's what I'm feeling starting to shift with all of the awareness now around midlife and menopause. And I talk a lot about midlife rather than menopause, because I just think it's that whole age range where we hit a crossroads, whether it's because you're struggling with menopause, or because those balls come crashing down just because things are shifting, or whether it's just because of your age. 50 is the big number for many women, where they go, nah, 50 years like this, I'm not living anymore like this. I hate my husband. I hate my job. I'm going to pack it all in and start to get, that was me in my life, really. But that's happening more and more. And I think it's empowering in so many ways, that like, it's not too late. You can change in whatever way that looks like. But as you said, Hayley, you have to change. Like, you have to want it, and then you have to do something about it. And a lot of us are stuck in this narrative that we don't have what it takes to change.
What would you say is, because I've not reached the big 5-0 yet, but I'm not that far off it. But I'm in the kind of in the age range where, like, exactly what you say, I've got a lot of friends and family members who have got a lot of hormonal changes, like that, and they are having difficulties. Yes, exactly. Angela being one of those. A lot of difficulties with relationships and things like that. Exactly what you've been talking about, like all of those big things that happen at midlife. Like, what would you say is your biggest bit of advice for women at that stage of life? A big
Oh,
question.
God, that's such a good question. And you have to build your self-worth, and you build your self-worth by taking action to, I'm going to say, fuel yourself in a way that means you're going to grow your self-worth. And that fuel can be things like listening to this conversation on a podcast, other conversations. Podcasts are brilliant ways to get these, powerful, inspiring women and their stories. Like, I am a normal person. I'm not saying my life right now is perfect. It's not. But like, someone like me, the celebrities who've got great stories to share, like, fuel yourself with information, like these stories, how-tos, books. Obviously, there's so many brilliant books, lots of things. If anyone's interested, pop me a message. I'd happily share some books that I've come across and love. Fueling yourself with your mindset. So your mindset is the biggest thing. That sits in the middle of my 5 pillars. My 5 pillars are mindset, movement, nutrition, sleep, and stress. But mindset is at the core of everything, because like what you've said, Hayley, you're telling yourself this narrative of, well, I have these chronic illnesses. This is just how it's been. I've managed them for 6 years. I'm going to be menopausal soon. And what that means is you can't change. You're not good enough. You're stuck. We have to start to shift that mindset. And so fueling yourself in ways that is going to do that. And one of the big things is social media. Who are you following on social media? Create the fuel on there that's giving you, this insight of, oh, they changed their life. Oh, look at them, and other things that can become tools like gratitude practice, journaling, meditation, mindfulness. You're going to have to do some work, but you can do it. And so I'd say that's the biggest thing, really, is just think about how you build that self-worth. What I did wrong for all of those years was just try to, like I say, I tried to fix the anxiety and panic in the wrong way, and believe that if I got rid of the anxiety and panic, I would have confidence. But that wouldn't have worked, and it didn't work because I didn't have self-worth. At my core, I inherently believed that I wasn't good enough, that I was less than most of the people I'd ever met in my life, women especially. And you have to work at that. As I said, that's your foundations. And so whatever ways are going to work for you, lots of things that are not just the educational stuff, but a hobby and interest. Like, what do you do to fill your cup up, to put your oxygen mask on? And maybe that is food and diet related. Maybe you're someone who's just stuck in that, I haven't got time to cook, I can't eat anything healthier, I don't know how to cook. Well, maybe it starts with a recipe, finding a recipe, following someone on Instagram who offers some great recipe ideas and just picking one. And what it is, you see, you've got the ripple effects of all of these tiny little things that you do that ripple out, and they begin to tell you matter. You're ticking the box to say, Nicola, you're worth doing that for. Nicola, you're worth that. It's like, and that's what we've got to fuel our minds with, essentially. But that can come, like I say, through all of those different ways. Create a plan, I suppose, would be the way to go. To think, what is 3 things I could start off with, and they can be tiny. I talk about these tiny actions. That could just be 1 minute on a morning when your alarm goes off, of just visioning how you want your day to be. How do you want to feel through that day? In control. I just want to feel in control, and just set that intention. So, 3 things, make them really small, each really small, and just start, and then the ripples will come, and then you add, and eventually build these things as habits.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I like to have a chat with my ladies who come in to work with me, and I'll say, look, even if you go for a massage, have a little bit of time out, do something for you, because we're busy mums, we're busy people doing lots of things for other people, and you just forget about yourself. And then before you know it, your life's just gone whoosh. And you
I
just
know,
don't
and
know.
I think what a lot of women do, Angela, for themselves, is social media, scroll late at night. That's their time, that's their reward. They think, oh, I've had a long day, I'm knackered, I'm in bed now, let's just scroll. And 10 minutes becomes an hour. I mean, I've spoken to women, it astounds me, who fall asleep at 2 a.m. with the phone literally on the side of the face, on the pillow. Oh no! But like that's not filling your cup up, So that's if you're listening and you use social media a lot, like, first of all, switch your feed. But yeah, it's like, if that, you are giving yourself that time, but it's actually having so many detrimental effects usually. So yeah, it's like, well, what could you replace that with? Maybe, and I joined a book club this year to try and encourage me to get back to getting off the computer early on at night, to read. You meet up in person every month, reading new stuff. Like, there's so many ways now for women to find these interests and do it on your own as well.
Yeah, that's great advice, because it's like, I remember, again, I'm going back a few years ago and now, and it was when I knew I wanted to work for myself. So I bought books from people who'd started their own business. I started listening to podcasts about people who were like successful in their business and things like that. So I was trying to fill my spare time and my things that I like doing. So I'd walk the dogs and I'd stick my headphones in and listen to podcasts. I would try and fill that time with people who were kind of living the life that I wanted to live. So then that would kind of get me to kind of navigate in that way. And I suppose you're right. It's about, I've never thought about doing that in the context of just general life as well. Like, I was thinking about it in work terms, but yeah, like, surround myself with people who are perhaps living with conditions that I've got and are making it work. Or like, when I get to that point where I get the menopause, like, where are the people that are talking about menopause, are talking about it in a positive way, they're giving advice and things like that. I suppose I've not thought of it in that regard, really. So yeah, that's great advice. Have you got any questions, Angela? Because I know you're going through menopause at the minute.
Oh God, 1,000,001. I know, like, there's obviously over 200 and odd symptoms, isn't there? I mean, I've actually trained as I'm a trained massage therapist, but I've actually trained in massage specifically for women going through the menopause. So there's
Yeah.
different like points on the body, like you can press different points, acupressure points, and different oils that you can use for menopause. And I do have a lot of clients who come in specifically for that, and there's, you know, it does help them. I think for me, I probably just don't, this sounds really bad, but I probably just don't practice what I preach. And I know what to do. It's just I'm on that treadmill of kind of get my business going, do this with the kids, do this with my partner, and just life basically, and just trying to keep my head above the parapet like everyone else. And I'm great, absolutely great, spot on at giving people advice and saying you must do this, this, and this, take these supplements, take that, eat right, drink well, move well.
Do that,
And
yeah.
it's like, I'm just like, you know, on the treadmill. So I just need to
But
pause.
yeah, but yeah, no, but this is what I was saying in that we can tell everyone what to do. You know, and a lot of women, I've heard people in the wellness space who are quite big and well known talk about, oh, people know what to eat. Like I know a lot of people who don't know what to eat, have a healthy diet. I think especially in the area we live in, I think that there's a lot of lack of knowledge around that. But, you know, you can give people the knowledge around what a healthy diet is, what an optimum way to work out and either be fit, you know, for fitness now or to try and protect yourself as you age, about sleeping better, managing stress, talking kindly to themselves. But like I said, you know, people are who they are. They've got a program up here in their head running the show. Like just because you tell people doesn't mean they're going to do it. So I run a session called the penny drop moment, and that's about giving women that penny drop of why their health matters. Because what I think will happen as a starting place is when they have that like light bulb switched on, you know, the penny drops is, oh my God, yes, health isn't about just fitting into a size 10 right now or looking all right on my pictures for 2 weeks in Benidorm. Health is actually about picking up my shopping when I'm 80, still being able to drive the car when I'm 85, wearing nice clothes when I'm 88, you know, going on a holiday with my husband in our 80s on our own, wherever it is we want to go, fly long haul, like playing with the grandkids. When they start to go, God, that's what health is about, I hope that then ignites that fire in them to be like, how do I do it? And then not just how do I do it as in what does the diet need to have in it, but how do I actually eat like that without it being a massive chore and something I've got to remember to do and force myself to do, and all of, you know, the battles many women have had, especially around food, for most of their lives. So yeah, it's back to that why. That's the big thing I work with, is the vision, why that matters, and really having you connect with it so that you become a person who lives that way and it just becomes a part of you. So don't be too hard on yourself, because we all live how we live because of that program, as you know, and it's only through intentional action that you can change. I'm sorry to say, but I know this is a big marketing challenge for me, like how I get women to want to pay to work with me, because everyone wants a quick fix. Again, we live in a modern world. If we're hungry, we just order something like that. If we're bored, we'll go on social media, you know, the breaks on the television, how many people pick up the phone to scroll in 2 minutes of nothing on the TV except adverts to watch. You know, how many women are now going on GLP-1 medication because they just want to lose weight and they just want it off quick because it's too bloody hard, especially in midlife, to lose weight. Like, we just want a quick fix because that's the modern world that we live in as well. So, you know, that's a big challenge in what I do, is having women choose to do the hard work. But I know that the long-term benefits of change and shifting how you live and feel about yourself and your self-worth, and with that your health, that's what creates the life you want, not just trying to quickly do something and tick it off and feel all right for a few weeks, but then life goes back to normal again.
When you were talking about your story from when you were young to getting to now, like you can just hear like how many things have changed. You should be very proud of yourself.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's, I mean, and that's what I just want to inspire other women about. I mean, say my marriage wasn't a particularly happy one for many, many years. I was with someone much older than me. Like, my worth dictated everything, and I made choices that weren't right for me. And it was only when I worked on that self-worth, rather, confidence came as an output of that, but worked on that then, I've met someone else. We got married last year. I thought I was just a moaning, nagging, horrible wife and woman, to be honest, but I'm not. But the wrong relationship made me that way, but it leads to so much. Like, I'm a better person in just so many ways. And yeah, it's all the hard work's worth it to be able to live like this.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I loved what you said earlier there about the distinction between self-confidence and self-worth. I've not heard that before, and I think that's really powerful, because it is like, I suppose in the past I've just kind of bucketed them in the same kind of thing, but that they're not, and it's nice to hear that distinction, and I'm going to remember that and use it.
Well, if you want more on that, I have stole that, or I've learned it, I should say. There's a brilliant entrepreneur from the US, Jamie Kern-Lima. Do you know her?
I've heard the name, yeah.
She's phenomenal. She's got a book called Worthy. I've got it on the shelf behind me here. I'd recommend her book and listening to her as a guest on. She has her own big podcast now. I'm not a fan actually of her as an interviewer, but I really like her sharing her own story as a guest. She has an incredible story of failure, being told she wasn't good enough because of the way she looked for so many years, and then kept going because she believed in her why she was doing it, that she was right. And eventually she built a brand that she sold to L'Oreal Cosmetics for $1.2 billion cash.
Oh my God.
She is phenomenal, yeah. And she wrote this book, Worthy, and I always recommend it to clients. It's just, I think it's life-changing for women to read that, because it really does. Like, she talks so much about how she believed like a weight was the number on the scales. It was all stuff I was doing in my business anyway, but then when I came across her, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. We've got such a high profile person talking about this as well.
That sounds like a book I'd like to read. I'll pop the link in the show notes to that, actually, so people can check it out.
Yeah.
Angela, do you want to kick us off with the quick fire questions?
Oh yes, let me grab them. 2 seconds.
I hope they're not general knowledge, because I'm not very good with general
knowledge. God, no. It's all about the Northeast, so you're all right. Right. First one. What's your favourite iconic landmark?
Angel of the North. She's right out the window there. I can see her every day from my office. Love her.
Oh, I love it. Oh, when they said Berkeley, I thought that. I was like, oh, next to the Angel of the North. That's a good
I'm
one.
high up, so yeah, I've got a great view.
Berkeley.
Next one is, what's your favourite Geordie saying or word?
Well, I'm a Macamon, I'm not a Geordie.
No, let's say Northeast then. Northeast saying.
No, I'm trying to think. Oh, when you don't even know what you say yourself, because you just say it, don't you? Talking about habits. I'd probably say, because I have used this, and people not from the area are just like, what the hell? And then they love it when you explain. Shy Ben's getting out. I think that's, yeah, good one.
I love
it
that.
says what it describes, whatever it is on the tin, doesn't it? Shy Ben's getting out. Right, we'll like this one. We'll always have this question in. What is your go-to Greg's order?
Oh no, I can't eat Greg's. Well, because it's, I know, but I am going to confess that it was probably only maybe in about September that I had a Greg's in Berkeley. Like, I literally walked along the road on a Sunday with my daughter. I was mortified. I was so hungry, and would walk down to Berkeley. If anyone knows Berkeley, yeah, it's not a lot there. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I'm going to have to go in Greg's. And my daughter has celiac disease, so she can't eat anything in Greg's. And I did get myself a cheese pasty. And when I was a teenager, I used to work in a shoe shop in Sunderland, and I loved a Greg's cheese pasty. And when I was pregnant, it was one of my cravings. I used to have 2 with tomato ketchup, and I had it, and it's just not the same. Like, the filling's just not the same. So I don't eat a lot of foods like that. Like, I like nice food, and I'm sorry, but Greg's. Although I do fancy trying the new Greg's posh place in Phoenix. That looks quite nice when I've seen that online.
Oh, the tavern. Yeah, the tavern. Yeah, it looks quite nice. Just little inside. But it's all the Greg stuff anyway. So yeah.
I think I'd make an exception to try it, because they do mashed potato and gravy with the stuff as well, don't they?
They do.
Next one is, can you describe the northeast of England in 3 words?
Friendly, diverse. I'm going to say picturesque.
Definitely. God, yeah. When you think of the coastline and everything, and yeah, even like where the Hadrian's Wall and everything like that, it's just so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, that when I chat to people from other areas, which I do a lot in my job, I always say how we've just got such like this diversity of countryside, the coast, the cities. Like I just think we are quite fortunate. We've got everything, like especially the area we're living in. Like we're really close to all of that, and it's just amazing to be able to nip to the beach, but then you could go, like you say, Hadrian's Wall or to Durham, and you've just always got stunning scenery.
Very lucky.
We are. Last question. So, best person to come out of the northeast?
Oh, that's a really hard one. I can never think of people when I'm put on the spot for who's the best person. People probably think I'm really pathetic for saying this, but I've always just been a big fan of Cheryl from Girls Aloud. Like, I just, quite like. I think that's too much of a compliment for her to be named the best person, but she's the best for me that I can think of right now.
I don't even know what even she's doing now. She seems to have just disappeared.
Disappeared, isn't she?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about that the other day. She was on a L'Oreal fashion thing in Paris, I saw, which had women of all ages, and it was all about embracing age and beauty across the generations and stuff. But yeah, I don't know either. But if she's listening, she can pop us a message and let us know. She was on Strictly Come Dancing a few weeks ago, just with a little video message for Vicky Paz. And
oh yes, I saw that. But no, I think there's so many amazing people out of the northeast. I'd struggle to pick someone as well. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Before we go though, is there anything that you want to share with people who are listening or watching? Where can they follow you? Have you got anything that's happening in your business or life at the moment?
Oh yeah, fantastic. Well, I think based on everything we've been talking about, especially around women wanting to change but feeling stuck, struggling to get off that starting block, I've got a free quiz. You'll need to pop the link in because unfortunately it's not an easy link to say, but I have a free quiz called the Midlife Reset, and it's very good. Just take you a few minutes, answer some questions, and then it's going to give you kind of a diagnosis of where you are and what's going on, and some tips to get started. So that could be the thing that shifts you into motion and taking some action. And then I do have my podcast, Women's Health Unwrapped, which has a weekly show and lots of different conversations in there, which could be, like we talked about earlier, that fuel to help you start to think about this stuff and what you want to change. And at the end, I always share tips on building these habits we've talked about. So yeah, you can check either of those out. And then I'm on Instagram, Life Now Coaching, if you wanted to connect, say hi, ask for any recommendations of any podcasts or books. I'm always happy to share and signpost.
Thank you, Nicola.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, we'll put all of those links into the show notes so people can follow and come and take your quiz and everything. So yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, Angela, tonight and sharing your very inspiring story. We've really appreciated it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you both. It's been great.
Thanks so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support Geordie Pride further, then don't forget to subscribe, share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram @Geordie Pride. Until next time, keep that Geordie Pride shining bright.